Hello and welcome to Art 13131. We're in week 8 still, and we're going to talk about assignment 15, which is animal drawing. Also, the homework: draw something ugly that you wouldn't ordinarily draw. That could mean a lot of things, so it's really your interpretation. But when you're drawing, you're going to put in all the elements and principles we've been speaking about, mainly shading, proportion, composition, and filling up the page. Lots of contrast to what you draw. So that's going to be involved in anything you draw in this class. So that's the homework as well. Right, so animal drawing, I'll show you some uh, some images here of animals. They can be, semi-humorous like this one if you want, or something, but try to capture the proportions and where eyes are laid out and where things are, so that you have a believable drawing. You're using graphite, so you're going to use a lot of contrast, lights and darks, over and over. It can be any animal. It you could. I think it's better to finish up the drawing with part of the body. It doesn't have to be full body, like this is just showing the paw. This one here, it's a good drawing and everything, but it's kind of just a floating head, which isn't quite a finished drawing in my opinion. But maybe if you do it really well, maybe we could just have like a portrait of an animal with nothing else. So like this eagle is, or the raccoon, just sort of coming down in here. But birds, many things to choose from. You can take a picture of your own pet and do that, but have a good light source so that you do have lights and darks in your drawing. I like this a lot. If you can successfully add color to it, that's okay. In fact, if you wanted to try and paint this, if you have painted before, or using colored pencils, the thing about colored pencils, it's hard to get contrast when you're using, these pencils that don't have a lot of value or saturation in color necessarily. You may have to add black to them, or use darker blue with lighter blue to show the darker areas, the shadow areas, and through other colors you're using, whatever the colors are, you're going to have to use darker brown, where the darker brown, where the, let's say the whole hair is one color of brown really, but in the shadow areas it's darker. You're going to have to use black or other darker brown in there to make those darker areas, those shadow areas, stand out. And the same with anything on the face. Where the light is hitting, it's a lighter brown. Then where the light is hitting, it's a darker brown. And you may have to improvise by adding other color into that original color, that you perceive the whole face to be one color of brown. Well, it really isn't when you have light source on it. It's going to have lights and darks, so you need to make up for that with whatever other darker browns or lighter browns you have, and maybe you add black to it slightly, or another color in, so it becomes a darker brown. You have to experiment on a separate piece of paper to get those. If you haven't done it before, you don't know exactly what you're doing, you'll have to best idea is to experiment getting colors on a separate piece of paper before you try to do it on your masterpiece. Okay. All right, so animal drawing, pretty self-explanatory. Something like this has a lot of contrast in lights and darks. Even though that's a white and black cat, there's light and dark areas to each of those colors. The white here becomes more of a gray, and a gray and a gray, and a darker area here, because that's all in the shadow area if you were to use color. If you're using graphite, then you're just using darker shades of gray. And here showing maybe the lightest part of the black, which is still black, but it's not as saturated as the black here or back here. So you have to make up for that till you can show the shape via your light source. Light source coming down from this direction, from the top right, lighting up all this facial features, but not on the other side. That's what gives you the shape. I've talked about that endlessly. Time without number. Time without number. So put that into your drawing. And you can draw any of these. Any of these are your own idea. If you really have a good imagination, you're not looking at an actual drawing, give that a try. But if it's better, a stronger drawing would come from a model than have a photograph to work from. Either one of these or something of your own pet or another picture. Right. Talk about the homework. It says to draw something ugly. Well, it's a discipline because, you know, you might not want to otherwise draw something ugly. So this is a discipline to draw something very well that you wouldn't normally draw. It's kind of a discipline to make yourself do it. A lot of ugly different stuff, right? You can see here, this is bordering on horror. Or it might be horror. Or that might be horror to you. Whatever these are just people's faces. You don't have to use people's faces. It could be spiders. Somebody did this cat once, right here. And the dog. It can be something made up that is horrible and ugly to you. It can be just spiders because you think they're ugly or horrible or scary or something, or snakes, or somebody did their inhaler for asthma because they thought that was ugly, or somebody did a cigarette hanging out of somebody's mouth that was ugly to them. So whatever you feel is ugly, go ahead and draw it and do a good job of it. Put all the shading in it. Okay. If it's something like that, see the shading, light source, light areas, dark areas, shadow areas. This gives it shape. It gives it contrast, which gives shape. Anything without contrast or shading showing your light source is flat. It looks flat. So I want something that has shape, and use all the elements that you've learned in this class, okay? And put those together and draw something ugly for the homework. Okay, so that's really it for this week. As you can see, we're winding down. We're going to be in week 9 and 10. That's the last 2 weeks of assignments. And then the week 11 is a makeup week to finish up assignments. And then you have a final due, which is matting and framing your own work, your best work. You put it in a frame with a matting underneath the glass. They usually sell frames like that a lot of the time. And you might find something like that at the thrift store, or you go to an art store, you go to Walmart. Depending on your finances, try to find something that's going to fit your drawing, your best drawing. If you have a question about that, let me know and we'll figure it out. But you do have time. You have another couple of weeks and then the final week, okay? All right. I'll talk with you later. If you have prior assignments you have not done, you better start giving them to me, because we're winding down now. It's going to get miserable if you have to finish all this in the last week or two. It's going to be real hard to do and get good grades on stuff. So you might as well just start pounding away at it now and send me your best work, and then I'll critique it and give feedback, and possibly you can get a better grade on it if you do more work to it. I'll let you know what that is. All right, thank you.